Let's work. You're now, that's what's important. We experience the collapse in our life structure most of the time because we fail to funeralize failed yesterdays. You have to be strong enough basically to realize you can elevate out of your current situation. Instead of looking at where you think you should be by now, look at where you have grown out of. There are many individuals who need help with their blueprint. And I want to be that vessel, nothing special, just that mouthpiece to inspire you to construct the best version of your life that you can be. Welcome back to another episode of the LifeStruction podcast. I'm your host, Eric. Life builders, give yourself a hand of applause for being serious about your LifeStruction. No one has told you that they are proud of you today. Let me be the first. You may not be where you want to be, but you are in a much better position than you were last month this time because of your determination. So keep pushing. Keep pushing. Thank you so much for tapping in. And we are going to just chat it up today. Just chat it up, man. My past few days has been a mess. Should I say it's been a mess? My birthday is next Tuesday, September 5th. And, I was just thinking, I'm like, man, you start to get old and freaking pain start kicking in and you just be feeling pain for no reason. You be doing the least little thing and, you just catch pain. Friday night, I was preparing dinner and did something as simple as open up the oven door to put the food in the oven and pop. Felt my whole right side just pop. And basically, I just couldn't do nothing but fall down to the floor. It was a horrible feeling, still is feeling pretty bad. The pain has eased up a little bit. A lot of you know, because of my past, I do not like to take any type of pain meds that's going to make me feel jittery, or should I say, which basically is the topic for the day, if it's going to make me feel kind of out of my comfort zone. I do not, want to take it. So a lot of times I just, indulge in pain. I do have a high pain tolerance level. I can tolerate quite a bit of pain, so I'll just, lay hands on my own self and pray and just push through the pain because I just, opt out on taking pain meds. So that was one thing. And then on Sunday, the pain got just a little bit unbearable. So I'm like, maybe, my wife suggested, maybe you should go to urgent care. So I was like, yeah. So she had to go to work and I just hung out for a while. Then I'm like, you know what, maybe I should go to urgent care. Should have did it before she left, but of course I waited and get in the car, click, 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 car won't start. So I'm like, wow, back is hurting. Try to go to urgent care, car won't start. I guess it's my battery. I'm like, okay, God, so I guess you're just telling me that, I need to rest. Then I'm very horrible at reading my mail. I don't get a lot of mail. Most of my bills, they're just basically, you get the e-statements, stuff is on auto pay. But I had quite a bit of mail that had been sitting on the counter for a while. So this morning I decided to pick it up and read it. And one was from my current car insurance company. And basically they were, that letter literally has been on the counter for over a month. And, I just waited till a lot of mail stacked up. And then I decided to read it. And so basically the letter is telling me that they would no longer be providing coverage for the state of Arizona. So basically, you have until September 1st to find other coverage. Your coverage will end as of midnight, September 1st. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Okay, so pain in my back, dead car battery, which requires money. Then I have to get car insurance. So started calling around, getting some quotes, and going off of what I'm currently paying and most of the quotes that I got, it was almost like double. I'm like, I haven't had a ticket, knock on wood, haven't had a ticket in probably over 10 years or more. Um, no accidents. Why, insurance so high? And, the guy was like, well, Arizona, California, a lot of states, the insurance rates are starting to almost double. And I'm like, man, this is freaking crazy. So, I was just sitting there and it just was this uncomfortable feeling, this uncomfortable feeling. And, it's just as I sit down and grab my coffee and, started to just chat with God. Sometimes God makes us really uncomfortable. And a lot of times it's just because he wants us to talk with him. You know, a lot of times we get for me, I know I can say I get so busy sometime, that I can tend to pray these quick prayers, and my prayers are not as intense and as in depth as they normally would be. You know, I don't go into my closet as much as I normally would, you know, because I'm so busy that I get caught up in business and I don't take care of my business, which should be my first order of business, as making sure that I communicate with God, making sure that I pray, constantly stand in prayer with Him. First step in the morning, spending an appropriate time in prayer and reading. I'm going to read every morning, but sometimes I'm like, okay, running a little late, so I need to pray. You know, I'll catch up on my prayer, a little later. And, so this morning, as I was having my coffee and chatting with Jesus, you know, um, a lot of times, you know, as I was sitting there talking to him and reading scripture, sometimes we get uncomfortable because we've gotten comfortable doing the same thing every day in and day out. So then you get uncomfortable because it's time to be called on the outside of your comfort zone. So I was reading Romans 8th chapter, 18th verse, which basically says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. And that kind of stood out to me, because we have to suffer sometimes. And, basically, when we're called outside of our comfort zone, I feel like God takes us through that suffering period, that area where we feel ourselves being stretched, but this uncomfortable feeling and the way that he's stretching us can't be compared to the glory that he's going to get and we're going to receive because we endured that stretch and we went through that uncomfortable season without doing what? Complaining. You know, uh, and I read something and it said, show me the last time that you were uncomfortable, and I'll show you the last time that you grew. Because every time that we're in a season that we're being stretched and we're uncomfortable, we're growing through something, whether it's death, where it's a heavy breakup or divorce, where it's a financial time, or something mentally or physically that we're going through. It's uncomfortable, but we're being stretched and we're growing through something. Getting uncomfortable can look like many things. For some, this may be as simple as starting a new job. It may mean taking on newfound responsibilities due to, those unforeseen circumstances. We feel comfortable many times throughout our lives, and we're supposed to. At least throughout our childhood, we experience that physical and mental growth. The difference is mental capacity between like a 3-year old and a 3-month old are pretty much out, astounding. The change and transformation that we see in nature, that we see in our peers, that we see in ourselves are through the direct result of being what? Uncomfortable. Don't you think, think about a caterpillar. It goes through a period of discomfort while they're becoming a butterfly. Life isn't meant to be comfortable. We aren't meant to go through life pretending as if everything is 100% comfortable 100% of the time. But understand that these periods of discomfort are serving a purpose, and basically that's a purpose of change. When you're basically being stretched and things are feeling uncomfortable, things are changing, whether it's breaking off a friendship, that you've been connected with someone for years and years, and you start to grow apart from that person, and you know you feel like maybe it's you and it's not God that's pushing you away from that person. So how you are just entertain them on the phone, or you're entertaining them through text messages, or you might even say, you accept that lunch invitation and go out to lunch with them, but the whole vibe is uncomfortable. The whole vibe is uncomfortable. The conversation is uncomfortable. You can't even look that person in the eye. You don't even have eye contact, and it's because you're being stretched and pushed away from that person because your season is over. Your season is coming to an end with that person. In order for you to grow into that new season, that new area that God is pushing you into, you have to disconnect yourself from that individual. So mostly, like for myself, I can't claim to be the same person that I was 20 years ago. I can't pretend to be the same, then, that I was 20 years before that. I'm constantly changing and transforming, striving to be what? Better than I was 20 years ago. And many listening probably feel the same way. You have been through so many trials and tribulations in life. You have become something different. But sometimes we put growth on hold because, I'm gonna tell you, sometimes when you get uncomfortable, you find something to fill that void to so you won't have to face that pain directly in the eye. You're not ready to stand and face life on life terms. So you find ways to kind of take your focus off the problem at hand, the issue at hand, and you find something to comfort you instead of allow yourself to be stretched and push you into that next era. You know, let me ask you something. Do you prefer when you I'm not even saying do you prefer, do you when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you feel God is stretching you, do you take the time and have your coffee and chat with Jesus, or do you rather go to Netflix and chill? Do you take the time to sip your coffee and chat with Jesus, or do you search Tinder and try to find, a mate that you think may comfort you and tell you some stuff, through that computer virtually that make you feel better than, to help heal you from what you're going through temporarily? You know, do you prefer to go to the casino and gamble, or sip your coffee and chat with Jesus? This one right here gonna raffle some toes. Do you prefer to drink your coffee and chat with Jesus, or watch Pornhub and masturbate? Sheesh. There are so many ways that so many people try when they start to being stretched. They run to what they know that makes them feel comfortable because they are not ready. They don't want to endure the pain. So you run to what you know for years and years and years. You have that track record, you have that pattern of being comfortable with whatever it is, instead of sitting down, sipping on your coffee, and chatting with Jesus. Because he reveals so much to us if we just sit down and chat with him. Today, as I sit down with him, you know, and um, I have a men's group that I'm in, and the question was asked a few days ago: what do you feel when you're in the intimacy of worship with Jesus? And what did he speak to you, pretty much when you come out of it? And as I thought about it, I said, when I block everything out and I go into that place that I don't want to come out of, and I'm, you know, locked in full throttle with my intimacy, in praise and worship, and I'm praying and I'm praise and worship music is on and I'm in that zone, and I give everything to him. It's just like so amazing. You're light as a feather, and you just feel like, you're just floating. And then the question was, what do you do when you're not in that moment? And I found myself saying a lot of things that I give to the Lord when I'm locked into that place of intimacy with him. I'll go back and pick it up days later. You know, I told him that I trust him with all my heart. I told him, I believe. I told him I'm going to walk behind him, and I'm going to listen for him. I'm going to look for him to guide me. And then a few days later, I'm wondering if it's going to happen. A few days later, he tells me to go left and I go right. A few days later, instead of saying I believe, I'm saying I wonder, or even so, it ain't gonna happen. And it's because a lot of times we become so tired that we get pretty much, those signs, especially growing up, you don't see them too much anymore now, but you used to see signs that say, beware of dog. And that meant don't go in that yard because a dog was in that yard. And if you cross that fence, they were not going to be responsible for what that dog did to you. And it's almost like when we get that eerie feeling and we feel uncomfortable, it's like there's a sign, that black sign with those red letters, beware of being uncomfortable. And we sense that feeling of uncomfortableness. So what we do is back off, we back away, and we try our best to do everything we can so we don't have to cross that fence and walk any step further into what God is leading us, because we know that it's going to be uncomfortable. But when you've gotten to the point where He's brought you this far, you have to realize that you have grown too much, and you're getting too old, but a lot of times, because we've been through this and we've been through that, we convince ourselves that we've earned the right to be comfortable because we're tired of being stretched. So we remain stagnant, paralyzed with fear of change, the fear of the unknown. Yet, if we want to become a butterfly, we'll have to spend time as a caterpillar, and we'll have to go through the transformation, you know, and that transformation is very, very important. And, that's one of the things that I was able to compare to this morning, when I was going, experiencing all of this stuff back to back that was going on, the tweak back, the dead car battery, having to get car insurance, all of this stuff that was hitting me back to back. And I'm like, Eric, you've been through worse. The transformation that you had when you moved all the way to Arizona and you didn't know anybody and you endured it. You went through it. You took the time and you sat and you talked and you prayed and you heard Jesus. And as He guided you, you followed Him. And as you followed Him, you went from crawling to walking, and from walking to running after Him. And today you still run after Him. It's just some places that He run to, you don't want to run with Him because it's doing what? You looking at how far that you think you're going to have to run. So you get uncomfortable. You feeling like, I can't run that far. And God is saying, I will give you all of the strength that you need if you just run after me, run with me, let me follow you. Sometimes, just like you look and you think that I'm running all the way across the desert and I'm going, what you don't know, there's a hidden cave that's going up under this mountain. And right on the other side is going to be your place of victory. So you have to follow me because you don't know where I'm going. Because first of all, you're walking and running in the season of faith. And all you need is the faith the size of a mustard seed. But what happens is, don't forget, pretty much this entire season, you're blind. When you're falling after me, you're blindfolded because I'm not going to take the blinders off until I'm ready for you to see your next. So until I'm ready for you to see your next, I'm not taking those blinders off you. So how you going to, yeah, it's uncomfortable to have those blinders off. It's uncomfortable not to see where I'm taking you to. But how many times have I not been true to my word? How many times have I not taken you to the place that I promised you that I was going to take you to? Don't get me, sheesh, don't get me mixed up with a Judas spirit. I am not Judas. I am your Lord. I am your Father. I am your God. And if you trust and believe where I'm taking you to, then you will be okay getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So I encourage you, take your time, sit down, sip your coffee, and talk to Jesus and listen to what he's telling you, listen to what he's pouring into you. I declare the remainder of this year will be a year of growth, a year of discomfort, and a year of change and transformation. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. So make sure that you take the time and share this out with someone that you think may need to hear it, someone that needs to spend a little more time with Jesus and sip their coffee, someone that, may be experiencing that season of being uncomfortable. Share this with them and yeah, let them know that it's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable because for what Jesus have for us, no man can take it away, and, just have some greatness in store. He has greatness in store for us. So thank you for tuning in to the LifeStruction podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from learning how to be uncomfortable. Hey, next week it's going to be an amazing episode. It's my birthday, and I have an amazing episode planned. It's going to be me and five of my amazing friends from all over the country. Well, actually, all over the world, because we have one person that's in a total different country. It's going to be an amazing podcast. I encourage you, ladies, if you have you have husbands, you have brothers, sons, you know, all of the males that please connect them and make sure they tap in next week because it's going to be an amazing podcast. Until next time, this is your host, Eric, and I am signing off. Have an amazing week. And remember, if no one else believes in you, hey, I definitely do. So have an amazing week, guys. Until next week, keep being amazing. Peace.